Shalom Akim, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahushai, Bashim, Mukakadash, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Grim Restored real well, to the Akim around the falcons of the earth. In this last days, preaching the gospel from Mashiach Yahushai in sincerity and truth, diligence of mind. Yeah, so, the Most High always has examples, man, see, the Lord Hamashiach Yahushua always talks about, he always talks in parables, talks in parables, and this is a good example of a lesson. I just wanted to show the Akim, just to keep Akim, encouraged that the words of the Lord are true, and, there's nothing that can be done to prevent the words of the Lord from coming to pass. So, I'm going to read from the book of Isaiah, chapter 34. All right, Isaiah chapter 34. Let's see. I'll go straight to the point. Isaiah chapter 34, verse 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord, and read. No one of these shall fail. No one shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath guided them." All right. So this concerning the words of the Lord, and if you read verse 17, it tells you about the lot of the prophet. So it says, "And he had cast the lot for them, and his hand had divided it unto them by line. They shall possess it forever, and from generation to generation shall they dwell therein." So that's the reason why the men of the Lord are waking up and the getting the perfect understanding of this gospel, of this wisdom that the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai has made available to them, and they're making it known to the people. All right, the nations of this world are hearing the truth of the Lord's, the Lord's gospel, and this parable of the importunate widow that you're going to read in the book of Luke chapter 18, it clearly lets you know that the Lord always sets examples out there for us to, look into, and we can build on. So I'm going to read from the book of Luke chapter 18, verse 1. It says, "And he spake, and this is the Yahushua, and he spake a parable unto them, to this end, that men ought to always pray and not faint." All right. So you got to be consistent, with your prayers to the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. All right. Saying there was a inner city, a judge, all right, which feared not the Most High, neither regarded man. All right. What does that fit? But Esau, Edom. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, "Avenge me of my adversary." All right. So that's what happens, man. In this world, man. It's always cry for justice. And let me play the clip real quick.
At a library on the east side of Fort Worth, 69-year-old Nelda Price received something she's waited over a year for, a handshake and the words, "I'm sorry," from the city's top cop.
He basically he did apologize.
And that's one of the simplest things that she originally wanted, someone to say, "I'm sorry."
We introduced you to Price last night.
It basically just seemed like it destroyed my life.
In March last year, a no-knock police raid happened at her house. Cops told the judge the Price home was a drug house and that they'd find methamphetamines inside. But when the door got kicked down, it was just Nelda and her husband inside, both 69 years old. No drugs, just an operation fueled by bad intel. Price's husband died weeks later, according to a lawsuit filed by the family. And Nelda thinks the suddenness of the raid contributed to his death. All the while, Fort Worth police hasn't publicly explained how such a mistake could happen.
The chief listened very intently.
Price and her attorney met Chief Neil Noakes about everything not more than 24 hours after our story aired. Aside from getting an apology, Price wants the body camera footage of the raid released, but the meeting also uncovered an explosive detail we didn't know about. Nelda tells us when she asked Chief Noakes to elaborate further on what led officers to her home, Noakes said he'd have to get back to her, and that he couldn't talk much more about it because it was a joint task force operation with the DEA, which adds to the severity of this slip-up.
Really, that was a private conversation between me and Ms. Price, so thank you, but I appreciate that.
Noakes declined to comment afterwards. Something Price also wants is for the city to reduce the frequency of no-knock raids, and she's giving Noakes.
I think he'll do everything in his power to try to resolve issues like this.
Her full trust.
Yeah, man, that's one thing our people have to learn, man. Not to be putting their trust in a system like this, because it's just going to lead to excessive heartaches, all right? For a total heartache, all right? So I'm going to read again from Luke chapter 18, verse 4. So it says, "And he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, Though I fear not the Most High, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me." So he didn't, the police chief did not respond until the report was made on the news. All right, and you can always look at the previous video. They were giving her the runaround. They were giving her the so-called blue wall of silence. So it just shows you, man, that, when you're consistent, results happen. And, especially when you're serving the Lord HaMashiach, Yahushua, in righteousness, all right? So this is just a perfect example, man, that, the Lord sees what's going on, and his judgment is coming, all right? And verse 6 says, "And the Lord said, Hear what the unjust judge said, and shall not the Most High avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he be along with them?" Verse 8, "I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth?" Yeah, so when you have faith in the Lord HaMashiach Yahushua, you're always going to be consistent. This woman trusted in the system. That's why she went to get a lawyer, to try to have her grievances addressed. And, it works. So it's just, a testimony that you have to be aware of, man, that you don't take things for granted. Husband died, weeks after the raid was made. They didn't find no drugs in the house, and for the DEA to be involved with the police department, the chief has to know, he has to give the approval. And that's the reason why, he's trying to be tight-lipped, because they know they messed up. And you know how it is, man. This is Babylon, the land of confusion. And, it's falling apart, busting at the seams, all right? So now the precept will be from the book of Job, chapter 24. All right, if you read the whole chapter, it's good. So I'm just going to read a few verses. It says, why, I'm starting from verse 1, "Why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty?" All right, why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty, do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed thereof. They drive away the ass of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Yeah, so that just describes the oppression of our people, all right, under the hands of Edom, all right, the heathen also. Okay, and when you read verse 5, it says, "Behold, as white asses in the desert, go they forth to their work, rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yielded food for them and for their children. They reap every one his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing. They have no covering in the cold. So that's the oppression that you have to witness, on a daily basis. And hey, the Most High sees all, and that's the reason why judgment is coming upon the face of the earth because of unjust decrees. All right, and read from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27, and let's look at verse 19. It says, "Cursed be he that perverted the judgment of the stranger, fatherless, and widow, and all the people shall say, Amen." And that's not a joke, man. This is one thing that's common in Levi, in Nigeria. People gather around to make a compact, especially when something serious is going down. Hey, they have to, make that word, make that word stand, you know. So, final precept will be from the book of Isaiah chapter 59, because the judgment is coming upon the face of the earth, man. It's going to be terrible. That's why we're praying for mercy, all right? Isaiah chapter 59, verse 18. So this is what Lord Hamashiach Yahushua is going to do. According to their deeds, accordingly, he will repay. Fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies. To the islands will he repay recompense. Yeah, so judgment's coming, man. So that's just quick share of parable we have to deal with, man. Because when you see the sadness in the eyes of our people, you just have to know that the Lord has not forgotten them, all right? So you just have to be consistent in crying unto the Lord day and night, sighing and crying for the abominations that are done in this place, all right, so that we can be delivered. So that's the point there. Akim Abarat, we get delivered very soon. By Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Kakadash, Shalom.